precedent-setting decision. A Lakeshore man is sentenced after pleading guilty to killing his 12-year-old brother.
This entire process from the beginning has been extremely hard for him.
Molly is missing.
I've just been going crazy looking for her.
A local man's plea to help locate his dog. Potential labor dispute.
It's our job to make sure that we can put a deal that's fair, that we can ratify, that recognizes the work that they do.
Talks continue between security guards and the University of Windsor.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening and thank you for joining us, and hello to those listening to us on AM 800. An 18-year-old man from Lakeshore was sentenced today as a minor, even though he admitted to killing his own brother. A warning: this story contains upsetting information. Michelle Maluske joining us with the details of the story today.
Yeah, Stefanie, a standard publication ban under the Youth Criminal Justice Act prevents us from identifying the offender or anything that might identify him. Today, a Windsor judge decided to sentence the adult as a youth, in large part because of the offender's mental health.
This entire process from the beginning has been extremely hard for him.
Julie Santarasa and Bobby Russin represented an 18-year-old man who cannot be identified because he committed a crime when he was 16 years old. Court learned in April 2023 the offender killed his 12-year-old brother. The murder was described as a brutal attack on a defenseless boy in what should have been the safety of his own home in Lakeshore. The older brother confessed, turned himself in, and later pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. The Crown argued the callous nature of the statements to police and the brutality of the crime warranted an adult sentence. The defense argued that could only be the case if they could prove their client acted like an adult, and a youth sentence wouldn't hold him accountable.
The best thing for our client and the rest of society is getting him that treatment, the very focused treatment to deal with his mental health and understanding why he did what he did, and the best place for him to be is there.
Friday morning, Justice Bruce Thomas ruled the offender's actions were not indicative of adult maturity. The offender thought a can of bug spray would engulf his brother in flames. He presumed such an immediate gas explosion would occur that he left the home without shoes, the judge said. Court learned the offender has struggled with serious mental health illnesses his entire life, despite his parents seeking help from various professionals for years. The judge said their love for their living son is, quote, quite extraordinary.
They have been by his side pretty much from the beginning, which speaks to them as people as well. I think they want their son in their lives.
The offender was sentenced to the maximum penalty of 7 years. That starts today. The first 4 years will be in custody, the last 3 under community supervision with strict conditions. However, his lawyers must now ask the court to let him stay at the Sprucedale Youth Center after he turns 20. A date for that hearing has yet to be set, Stefanie. Now, later in happening now, we're going to get into the details about how today's decision here in Windsor is precedent-setting in Canada for a ruling because of a recent Supreme Court decision.
Okay, Michelle Maluske, thank you for our top story tonight.
You're welcome.
A driver has been rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries after a crash in Windsor's East End. Police were called just after 10:30 this morning to Tecumseh Road East near Lauson Road. The roadway was shut down in both directions between Lauson and Forest Glade Drive while officers investigated. Motorists are being urged to avoid the area. Our cameras observed a second vehicle involved in the collision. No other details have been released by police surrounding a cause or the condition of anyone else involved in this crash. Expect an increased police presence on the roadways and highways this long weekend. Ontario Provincial Police will be carrying out their annual Labor Day traffic safety campaign to ensure that all drivers are following the rules of the road. As of mid-August, 214 people have died on OPP-patrolled roads with speeding, alcohol, drug use, driver inattention, and lack of seatbelt use accounting for a significant number of the fatalities. The OPP reminds drivers and passengers that they should report suspected impaired drivers and any other dangerous drivers to police. Police are also reminding boaters, paddlers, and off-roaders to use waterways and on trails safely by wearing a life jacket on the water and a helmet on trails. The shooter who shot and killed 2 children inside a Minneapolis church once attended the same school, and police say they were obsessed with the idea of killing kids. Meanwhile, churches were packed with mourners yesterday as people prayed for those shot and killed and to try and grasp what happened in their city. The shooter fired more than 100 shots into the Annunciation Catholic School as children celebrated Mass to mark the return of the school year. The father of an 8-year-old who was killed made an emotional plea.
Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us.
Police say the 23-year-old attacker died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Investigators say the shooter, in their words, expressed hate towards almost every group imaginable. A Windsor man is desperate to find his missing dog after she disappeared from his backyard into a large forested area near the Ojibway Prairie complex last week. Now the community is rallying behind him to help bring her home. CTV's Chris Campbell joins us live in studio with more on this tonight. Chris.
Yes, Stephanie. Pete McDonald says his dog Molly is like family. The 1.5-year-old Shih Tzu ran off from his Lansing Street backyard that backs onto an Ojibway Prairie complex bush about 10 days ago, and he hasn't seen her since.
These are the posters we made.
A week and a half has passed since Pete McDonald was supposed to be reunited with his 1.5-year-old dog Molly.
I've just been going crazy looking for her.
About 7 months ago, McDonald gave Molly away, only for that arrangement to not work out. Plans were made to get her back, but as soon as the small Shih Tzu returned, she ran off into the woods near Malden and Lansing and hasn't been seen since.
Every day I go around the bush and I go in the back. I got some things with a scent on it for her back there, and I put food back there.
McDonald says he hasn't slept solid since and is desperate to bring Molly home.
Right now, I'm just worried about Molly. That's all I care about.
The area in and around Ojibway Park is home to coyotes, foxes, and other wildlife. For a small dog like Molly, surviving in that environment for days is a serious challenge.
She is not an animal who would want to stay in that situation.
Neighbors and volunteers have joined the search, combing through the woods and even flying a drone overhead. Now, specialized volunteers from the local Facebook group SOS Lost and Found Pet Recovery are sharing advice on how to keep hope alive and increase the chances of bringing Molly home.
So in that situation, when we have a little, I call them foo-foo city dogs, the lap dogs, we find that they will gravitate towards light at night and towards homes and kind of hang out around an area on a porch, or sometimes they will find cat feeding stations, and that's when we get our sightings.
Mary Morneau says Molly's size and age make her vulnerable, but not without hope. Hoping some familiar scents will get her to come back.
She could be anywhere. So we have a great legion of people who are on Facebook quite a bit. They're also checking local shelters. We've had dogs who have shown up hundreds of kilometers away.
After so long with no trace, McDonald wonders if someone may have picked Molly up without realizing where she belongs and is offering a cash reward for her safe return, telling CTV News he's not giving up hope.
A cash reward, no questions asked. If somebody's got her, I hope somebody's got her.
Stefanie, volunteers say the key now is keeping people aware and watching, warning some dogs get easily spooked after missing for so long. McDonald is asking anyone who may have seen Molly to reach out directly. You can find those contact details on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And Chris, of course, in the event that Molly is found, we will, of course, inform our viewers on this. Thank you so much. So this takes us to our question of the day. Have you helped someone find a lost pet? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you think the closure of Diageo and Amherstburg will have a major impact on the community. An overwhelming majority, 86% of you, say yes. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joins me now from the top of the Bell building tonight with the Labor Day long weekend forecast. Gary.
Good evening, Stephanie. Good evening, folks. It looks like sunshine will dominate the forecast for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, into holiday Monday, and perhaps for the first day of school Tuesday for most young people. And I'm anticipating that ridge of high pressure to keep things rather quiet. Not likely to see much in the form of clouds, and clouds in particular that could produce rainfall. If we do see any showers, they'll be very light and scattered throughout southern Ontario over the next 4 days. But I think the probability is very low, less than 10% in fact. So enjoy the sunshine, because next week, by Wednesday, Thursday, we're cooling off and rain returns. I'll break down what you need to know. The weather forecast for the holiday weekend is coming up.
20 years later, has New Orleans recovered from Hurricane Katrina? In some ways, it never will. That's the assessment of a university professor who says most of his current students weren't even born when the disaster changed the course of history in his city.
On the campus of Tulane University,
Napoleon sells it to the U.S.
Katrina is part of a lesson for a group of architecture students who have little, if any, memory of the deadly storm.
It's American history to them, okay? I'm 59. It would be like talking about World War II practically when I was a kid.
But for this city, it's a reality that's reshaped their community and lives.
There seems to be a sense of confusion by these poor people on which way to go.
The unbelievable images on TV screens across the nation that last week of August 2005 are indelibly imprinted on anyone who lived through it.
We're suffering here.
90-degree heat in the days that followed, with New Orleans humidity, the response at the Superdome vastly underestimating the human toll.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
Failures by FEMA and man-made levees compounded the humanitarian disaster in the days following the initial storm as the floodwaters continued to rise.
And you could see the news gets worse and worse and worse.
Back inside the classroom, Tulane University geographer and Associate Dean of Research Richard Campanella shares details and memories of the tragedy with his students.
So imagine that flood wall completely disintegrating. People are living at -4 here. The water is at +14. That's 18 feet of head within the span of 2 blocks.
Campanella says the man-made elements failed 20 years ago, but with work on the drainage and levee systems, New Orleans is now in a much better position to withstand a hurricane like Katrina. While in the 9th Ward, one of the hardest hit neighborhoods, there are reminders parts of this city may never fully recover.
When you go to the areas that suffered a greater exposure to the hazard and had greater social vulnerability, you still see Katrina.
But in the city's central business district and the iconic French Quarter, you can clearly see and feel the essence of this city, saved, many will tell you, by its unique style and culture. The Big Easy back in so many ways as recovery, which has been anything but easy, continues 2 decades later. Jennifer Bjorklund, NBC News.
Back at home, as new and returning students arrive at the University of Windsor, contract talks between the school and campus special constables are still unresolved. The union representing special constables says negotiations with the university remain far apart on issues including wages and benefits. 100% of members previously voted in favor of strike action, which they'll be in a legal position to take as of midnight September 1st. In a statement sent to CTV News, the university said both parties are committed to continuing discussions throughout the weekend and that contingency plans are in place to keep campus open, safe, and secure in the event of a strike. Talks between the two sides, as we just mentioned, continue. Another group at the university, operating engineers represented by Unifor Local 204058, is also at the table and faces the same strike deadline.
We don't want to have any disruption on campus, right? That's the last thing from our minds. However, we do have members that we represent. We have a 100% strike vote from the majority from the membership, and so it's our job to make sure that we can put a deal that's fair, that we can ratify, that recognizes the work that they do.
The Quebec government says it's planning to ban prayer in public places as part of a move to strengthen secularism in the province. The province's secularism minister announced the plan on Thursday. It comes a few months after Premier François Legault said he did not want to see people praying in public parks or on streets. The minister did not say whether Quebec would invoke the notwithstanding clause to allow the bill to override sections of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Canadian Muslim Forum said a blanket ban would stigmatize communities, fuel exclusion, and undermine Quebec's social cohesion. A backup ferry for Boblo Island has officially been certified and is now in service, and there could be more good news for residents who rely on the crossing. Campbell Properties, which owns the island and runs the Amherstburg Ferry Company, says the backup vessel passed Transport Canada inspection and is ready whenever the main ferry goes down. The extra ferry comes after residents faced several disruptions over the past year, including mechanical issues and ice damage to the main boat. The town says the certified backup ferry will remain on standby for now, but demand could eventually mean all ferries are in rotation. Both the main and backup ferries can carry vehicles, and residents pay more than $5,000 a year for round-the-clock access. Officials say reliable access is more important than ever now, with more homes being built on the island.
Especially with the south end being developed, residents that are considering moving or selling, I believe this is going to help the values on the home and provide another means of reliable service to and from the island.
Still ahead on Windsor's news leader, Israel steps up its assault on Gaza, calling it a dangerous combat zone. Big changes at the border as the U.S. scraps duty-free shipping, leaving Canadian businesses bracing for the fallout. Israel is now calling Gaza City a dangerous combat zone as it launched the initial stages of a planned offensive. Israeli Defense Forces say they are operating with great intensity on the outskirts of the city, forcing tens of thousands to flee the region. The assault has drawn global condemnation and concern that it will make the humanitarian crisis and famine conditions worse. Israel calls Gaza City one of the last strongholds of Hamas. Israel also says it has recovered the bodies of 2 hostages. About 50 hostages remain in Gaza. Israel believes 20 are still alive. It's the end of an era as duty-free shipping to the U.S. ends today, with many Canadian businesses bracing for a financial hit. Starting today, the U.S. is eliminating the de minimis exemption. It allowed packages worth $800 or less to ship to the U.S. duty-free. Now, full duties are due on all packages entering the U.S. Last year, almost 1.4 billion packages entered America duty-free, worth more than $64 billion. Some Canadian business owners are likely to lose U.S. customers because this change makes products more expensive. That's the case for a Windsor small business owner, Pat Ryan of Can-Am Treasures, who sells collectibles online and ships to customers in the States.
Now, I'm not going to be shipping to U.S. customers. Today, I had to cancel shipping to U.S. customers until I can possibly figure out a way. But if they've got to pay 35% extra, it's disheartening big time.
In times of heightened tension between Canada and the U.S., many are wary of heading stateside, opting to keep their elbows up at home. But those who are still crossing these days may need to be prepared to hand more than just their passports at the booth. As CTV's Travis Fortnum explains, border officers aren't just looking at what you pack. They may also be looking into your phone.
Crossing into the U.S. has long been a Windsor-Detroit convenience, but lately some Canadians are more cautious.
I'm a frequent traveler to the United States. I haven't noticed any significant change in how officers deal with Canadians.
Immigration lawyer Eddie Kadri says what has travelers talking is the rise in device searches. U.S. Customs and Border Protection data show officers searched nearly 15,000 phones and laptops between April and July, the busiest stretch since 2018, though the agency says such searches are still rare. And it is totally within their power to ask to see your phone.
They have a tremendous amount of discretion at their disposal, and the law supports that.
Kadri says you need to decide before leaving home if you're comfortable with the type of questions and searches border agents are authorized to conduct.
It really isn't the time or place to have that at the port of entry when you're seeking entry. And certainly you can, but you can't expect it to go well for you at that point.
Some Canadians report being turned away because of politically charged posts online. CTV tech analyst Carmi Levy says you need a strategy before you cross. One option, deleting social media or messaging apps, then reinstalling them after your trip.
However, there also is the very real risk that if none of these apps are on your phone and your phone is essentially blank or bare, that might arouse suspicion when you cross the border, and that might prompt additional questions.
And deleting an app doesn't guarantee your posts or messages are gone.
It's very easy to bypass the limitations of removing your data from your phone because border officials certainly have other tools at their disposal.
Levy adds you could leave your phone at home or travel with a burner, but the best advice remains the same. Be mindful of your digital footprint.
This kind of guidance will benefit us regardless of what's happening politically at the time.
And while the legal advice is to be prepared, Kadri says don't let fear keep you from crossing.
By and large, the men and women who work at the ports of entry between Canada and the United States on the American side, they're good people just trying to do their job.
Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
You'll soon be seeing more electric vehicle chargers outside Tim Hortons locations. The fast food chain is partnering with Quebec-based Flow, saying it will deploy EV fast chargers at 100 of its locations across all 10 provinces by the end of 2028. The installations are part of an investment from the Canada Infrastructure Bank. It committed $235 million to build more than 1,900 public EV chargers nationwide. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling on Canada to pass a new stand-on-guard law, amending the criminal code, allowing homeowners to use force, including lethal force against home intruders. Poilievre says it's time to get much tougher on criminals.
Our amendment instead will change Section 34.2 of the Criminal Code to say that the use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against an individual who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. Simply put, it means you have the right to use force to defend your home and your family against someone who threatens you and who has entered illegally.
Currently, under Canada's criminal code, people can defend themselves against intruders under 9 conditions. But Poilievre claims this isn't enough, and homeowners are being unfairly punished by the law. The use of self-defense against intruders has been in the news after a man in Ontario was arrested for allegedly assaulting someone who broke into his apartment last week. Canada's economy contracted in the second quarter under the weight of U.S. tariffs, according to Stats Canada. The GDP declined 1.6% on an annualized basis in the second quarter. It's thanks to a sharp drop-off in exports and business investment. The U.S. ramped up tariffs against Canada in the second quarter, particularly targeting steel, aluminum, and autos. The materials sector helped lift Canada's main stock index to finish higher to close the week. In Toronto, the TSX gained 130 points. In New York, the Dow fell 92, the Nasdaq lost 249. The Canadian dollar added 0.07 cents. On commodity markets, gold gained almost $42 an ounce and oil dropped 59 cents a barrel. Born without limbs is proving nothing can stand in her way, and now she's chasing her biggest goal yet.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot thanks to Leanne Gledhill for this image. Just ahead, will sunshine and comfortable conditions dominate the long weekend as we look ahead to school starting next week? We'll find out next on CTV News Windsor.
A gorgeous shot of the Canadian flag. The long weekend is here with more on what we can expect. Gary Archibald. Gary.
I think a lot of young people will be celebrating the fact that, actually, no, that's wrong. Well, maybe they're celebrating the fact that they're going back to school. I know the little ones on my street wish the summer would continue. So maybe parents are celebrating, hey, kids are back to school. That gives me a little bit more time to myself. I don't know. I don't have kids, except for my dog who loves this time of the year because it's cooler, and soon enough he'll be running around in the fall leaves. And there's only about 3.5 weeks of the summer season left. We reached a cool high of 20.4 degrees Celsius. The air is relatively fresh. Air quality index, we want to see low numbers. It's rated at 2 out of 10, so that's good news. The northerly wind combined with the cooler than seasonal air masses dropped temperatures down to 18 in Chatham-Kent, a mixture of sun and clouds. So too a similar sky condition in Windsor, but just slightly warmer to 20 degrees Celsius. It is warm across the prairies. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, collectively mid to upper 20s. They'll probably reach 30, 31 in Regina today. Meanwhile, we're hovering around 20 for our high. The winds will also decrease in terms of their intensity late tonight. The gustier winds further east towards London, Kitchener, Waterloo, and a couple of beautiful starry nights of late. That will continue tonight. We should be clear from about 11 p.m. through to sunrise, and then clear because of this northerly influence, high pressure in place, and that ridge of high pressure is going to stay with us for the next little while. In fact, perhaps for the next 4 days straight. Not likely to see any precipitation of note. So, what are we going to do with the last days of summer for the youngsters before they head back to school? Well, enjoy the outdoors. Note the UV index is going to be high for the next few days. We're just going to get a lot of sunshine. It's cool tonight, but clearing down to 13 by midnight, and the wind calm. Take a look at our 7-day forecast, courtesy of Sal's Heating and Cooling. I'm calling for 22 degrees and sunny for Saturday. UV index is going to be 7 or above for the next 4 days. Sunday, sunny and 24. Monday, Labor Day, the holiday, 26 and sunny. Sunny on Tuesday, first day of school for most, 26 degrees. And then cooling off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 22, 19, and 15. That's cool. Let's look at your weather.
Lifetime, brought to you by Safeguard Medical Alert Systems.
Kentucky woman born without limbs keeps reaching for greatness. Elizabeth Billings says she never lets her disability prevent her from trying to accomplish anything she sets her mind to. And she has one big goal in mind. CNN's Amelia Lee reports.
Meet Elizabeth Billings.
I love you.
The 26-year-old Lexington native was born without limbs. She's worn prosthetic legs since she was just 1 year old. But that doesn't stop her from living every day to its fullest.
My dad or my mom, they never really wanted me to let my disability get to me. So I was always told to try what I can, and if I can't do it, then at least I tried.
As a child, she tells me she looked up to her big sister, Tristan, as they grew even closer after their dad died.
She's my best friend. She's still a pain in my butt, but she's probably one that I know would always be there for me no matter what.
Billings is no stranger to facing every challenge that comes her way. Her newest goal, getting behind the wheel and driving a car.
I wear prosthetics. I can't use, the regular gas and brake pedal because I can't feel exactly how much pressure I'm putting on it. Yeah. So there's no telling how fast I'd be going down the interstate. I'd probably get pulled over. So I would need the hand controls.
Billings is currently working toward buying a car and the gear she needs, a whopping total of nearly $26,000 for the car and the hand controls.
It's weird being on the opposite side of the vehicle because I'm usually in the passenger seat.
Now living in Laurel County, she works at Laurel Heights, and she and her mom even have a three-legged dog of their own named Buddy.
She got big old bat ears. I tell her one day she's gonna go outside and it's too windy and she'll fly away.
With a contagious laugh and an ability to make everyone in the room smile, Billings continues to look on the bright side of every situation.
That's something my dad always told me. No matter what anyone else says, I know who I am, I know what I'm capable of, and I shouldn't let any hurdle stop me. And if I can't overcome it, at least I tried.
Coming up on Windsor's News Leader, a Degrassi fan with close ties to the TV's producer sparks a new documentary, one that features some familiar faces, including Drake.
CTV Windsor and 93.9 Virgin Radio have your chance to rock the runway. Enter today's keyword at ctvwindsor.ca for your chance to win tickets to see Noah Khan Friday, September 12th at Rock the Runway in London and an overnight stay.
Welcome back to Get Gardening. I'm Kate Otterbein. We are here with horticulturalist Sandy McDonald today. Sandy, today we are talking about iron deficiencies.
That's right. It doesn't happen in just people. Iron deficiency is actually fairly common on plants, and we have a couple examples we can look at today. And I'm actually going to pull a branch down a bit here just so we can get a little bit better look at this deficiency. And it is an iron deficiency. It means that the plant cannot pull up enough iron to get good green foliage. And again, this is a maple. It's actually a red maple, a native red maple. And typically it should have nice dark green foliage, but of course it does not. It has what we call intervenoclerosis. So the veins are still a bit green, but in between it's quite yellow. So this is a very severe case of chlorosis, and that's the technical term for the iron deficiency in plants. So it generally means that the pH of the soil is probably a bit too high for the plant to be able to pull up the iron it needs. So the pH, of course, we know about acidic and alkaline conditions. This plant would prefer a little bit lower pH in the soil and or a little bit more source of iron. So there are actually iron chelates that we can apply. We can dissolve them in water to help alleviate this problem. And also, too, sometimes we can sprinkle a little bit of sulfur around the soil, around the tree's root zone, and I would still be in the root zone here, and water that in thoroughly. That'll help bring the pH down. Well, today we're also going to take a look at magnolia. We saw a really nice magnolia seed pod on here, which kind of interested me first, so not a problem with that, of course, but we're talking chlorosis, that iron deficiency, and it's quite common on magnolias in our area. So again, the same sort of situation too. Keep an eye on plants such as your red maples and your magnolias. If you're seeing this yellow coloration, then you probably need to get some iron on there, and also maybe a little bit of sulfur to bring the pH of the soil down.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandy. That was iron deficiencies here with Get Gardening. Horticulturist Sandy McDonald here. If you have any topics for us to cover or want us to come to your garden, you can give us a text at 10400.
The world's most famous and newly engaged couple made their first public appearance last night.
Travis Kelce with Taylor Swift, his fiance, in the building. Congrats.
That The happy couple were cheering on the Cincinnati Bearcats as they kicked off their college football season against Nebraska. Some of the tight ends' famous friends were also on hand, including Kansas City Chiefs teammate Patrick Mahomes. Sadly for them, Kelsey's college team went on to lose the opener. If you've watched television at some point over the past 40 years, you probably came across the TV show Degrassi. As CTV's Andrea Case reports, the inspiration for a new documentary about to screen at TIFF came from an unexpected source.
There was a notice about auditions for this new kids show.
And then one day, my mom called me and told me, "You got the role." And I just grabbed my bag and left. And man, what a wild journey that started.
The new documentary, Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, would never have happened without Ivy Mudd.
I started Degrassi, and I'm like, why is there no documentary about this?
Do you always take your daughter's advice?
From now on, I will, clearly.
It is the longest running and most successful franchise in TV history.
2 years ago, the then 13-year-old Ivy began watching Degrassi from the very beginning of its 385 episodes. She asked her TV and film producer mother that fateful question.
It was pretty clear that, it sort of stands the test of time. So the question was, what's the future of it? And why not celebrate something that's 4 decades old?
Ivy was captivated by the TV show about a group of kids in a Toronto school and their lives inside and outside the classroom.
I think everything still holds up. It talks about things like eating disorders, and I feel like people can relate all over the world.
Cast members were game to take part in the documentary, including perhaps its now most famous former student, Jimmy, a.k.a. Aubrey Graham, a.k.a. Drake. Mudd had to get the blessing of show creator Linda Schuyler, which was easier than she thought.
We had lunch. We sort of poured our hearts out. And I don't think that she had any expectations. She was very hands-off.
As for getting accepted into the Toronto International Film Festival,
I've been around a while. This is my first TIFF, and it is... it's incredible, and in our own town, in Toronto, with a franchise that is homegrown. It's a Toronto story, right? But arguably one of our biggest cultural exports. So it's amazing to be here.
Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, will have its world premiere on September 13th at 6:15 at Scotiabank Theatre. Do you have your outfit picked out for the red carpet?
Not yet, but it has to be amazing.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
We want to hear from you. Do you have a comment or question, an idea for a great story? Once again, you can let us know by texting 10400.
X marks the spot where it all began. 89X is back. Windsor's alternative. 89X.
This is your CTV Windsor, our community calendar. Kick off spooky season with AM 800 and Scarehouse Windsor at the first ever AM 800 Fright Night, Friday, September the 12th. Bring a non-perishable donation for free admission. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Melanie Kentner. And Melanie, returning to our top story from court and the precedent this sets.
Stefanie, an 18-year-old was sentenced today as a youth for murdering his 12-year-old brother. The prosecution wanted the offender sentenced as an adult, but just 1 month ago, the Supreme Court made it more difficult for that to happen. That court ruled Crowns must prove beyond a reasonable doubt the offender was acting like an adult, not a child at the time of the offense. Before that ruling, the prosecution only had to satisfy the court. According to the Crown, today's decision by Justice Thomas is likely the first time in Canada a judge has had the Supreme Court decision to rely upon.
Sentencing a young person to an adult sentence shouldn't be too easy. It has to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt to show that the young person does not have diminished moral capacity.
We've got more details on the case online at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And we've also got a story online, Melanie, about a record-breaking donation.
Yes, the pie auction at the Harrow Fair has raised more than $118,000 for the John McGivney Children's Centre. The Brad and Joanne Stannard Memorial Auction surpassed last year's total by $1,000. It benefits children with physical, neurological, and developmental needs. The Stannard family started the tradition nearly 3 decades ago. You can read more about the auction on our website. And in our social spotlight, I guess this dog doesn't like fish.
Wow, look at that. Nice. Ricky!
Ooh, I think Ricky got scared and decided the water would be better than the fish. Good news is she jumped in after him, and a later video shows that he was rescued, Stefanie.
Hey, I'm not surprised, especially how close the dog got up to the fish. As long as a little dog was saved. I remember that happened with my dog once, jumped off the boat. My parents had to jump into the water at the marina, so thankfully everyone is safe.
Yeah, exactly. At least he's okay. That's the good part.
Okay, thank you, Melanie, and that's what's happening now. Dramatic images coming out of the Italian island of Sicily this morning after Mount Etna erupted, providing a breathtaking natural show. Drone footage captured streams of glowing orange lava oozing down its slopes. The eruption forced officials to close off sections of the landmark to visitors. Areas above 2,500 meters were put off limits after the automatic alert system noted increased volcanic activity. Etna is the largest active volcano in Europe. Jets, helicopters, and the snowbirds. Toronto's air show is back, drawing crowds of more than 1 million.
The latest news to start your day.
Interviews, conversations with the top officials, the difference makers, and personalities in Windsor, Essex.
Only on Windsor, Essex #1 morning show.
It's Mornings with Mike and Meg on AM 800.
Gary, I'm thrilled that this weekend is full of sunshine because many parents will know sports, summer activities and whatnot wrapped up last weekend. And next weekend is when everything starts up again for the fall session. So a lot of parents are at home with kids this weekend. Quality family time where we don't have to get up early.
Well, this is good. And when you do get up, you'll enjoy some sunshine for Saturday, Sunday, and holiday Monday. Labor Day looks good. So the next 4 days, I'm calling for sunshine. Temperatures will be anywhere from about 22 to 26 degrees, so it's not a huge range. Those temperatures are seasonably cool for this time of the year. And then next week, we will see some showers and cool off substantially. So enjoy the next 4 days.
Okay, thank you. Now, eyes will be glued to the skies in Toronto this weekend with the Canadian snowbirds returning for their annual air show. Residents caught a sneak peek today during a practice run. CTV's Corey Bard has more on what's planned for this year's spectacle.
The unmistakable roar of the CF-18 fighter jet means another installment of the Canadian International Air Show is upon us. Fresh off a successful test flight, Captain Andrew Chen is excited to perform in front of a hometown crowd.
I've been doing this for over 4 years, and every time I strap in, it's a refreshed feeling. It's absolutely amazing when you take off.
The air show, an end-of-summer ritual for this pair of 15-year-olds who stood in the pouring rain for 3 hours just to get a sneak peek.
It's just exciting. Yeah. Exciting to watch and see stuff like that. We're both looking to get in the military, become fighter pilots, so just cool watching. That's a dream.
They can look to Rory Harrison for inspiration. 5 years ago, he watched the show from the ground. Now he pilots this search and rescue helicopter.
I was going to Seneca College in Toronto, and just before orientation week, we went down to the CNE, and the air show was going during that weekend, and I saw the helicopters and the snowbirds. The F-18 demo team was there as well, and it was just a big inspiration to join the forces.
The CTV News chopper captured this footage of the famous Canadian Forces snowbirds, the closing act each day of the air show, because, well, who's going to top the snowbirds?
I want to say no pressure, but we think about everybody that's out there watching, especially in Canada's biggest city. You know, there's going to be essentially millions of eyes on us this weekend.
More than 1 million people are expected to take in the sights and sounds from a variety of vantage points this holiday weekend.
There is great viewing points all across the city, from kind of the Humber Bridge all the way over to Billy Bishop Airport. And it's nice because young families can go and experience the air show without having to spend a lot of money.
For those unable to see the show in person, it will be live streamed free on the air show's website. Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Gary, it's one thing to watch those jets in the air, and then another thing to actually see them on the ground and get up close and personal.
Yes, that's for sure. I've always loved the air show at the X growing up, obviously, from Toronto, and I haven't been there for a while, so maybe I will get out there this weekend. Who knows?
You should.
The weather should be great for flying.
It will be.
So, yeah.
Okay, on behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca.
Gary and I will be back with your only local newscast tonight at 11.
Good night.